Hey, what's going on, everyone? Vega here for SerpentX Tech, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we'll be creating our own Solana token. We're getting you involved in the space so you can make your own cryptocurrency, whatever you want it to be. You just need to get started and get involved and save some money, because right now we can make a Solana token, right? However many amount that we want to mint and supply to our peoples or create a market with, we can do that for less than $3 fiat currency, USD, right now, rather than paying an easy token creator app anywhere from $75 to $70 to $125. So if you're interested in saving money and creating your own token, you should definitely stick around for this video. Now, it is a long form video, and I will have the documents and everything linked down in the description that you can easily go to if you don't want to stick around through a long form video. I provided everything in there, including some insight recommendations, commands in blue, text just guiding you throughout the process, all in this document. Go ahead and head on over there. Otherwise, the first thing we need to identify is, well, what operating system are you on? Are you on Windows? Are you on Mac? Are you on Linux, Ubuntu? Well, I like to work out of Ubuntu Linux environments, but you might want to work out of Windows environment. In this video, it's going to be strictly Linux and Ubuntu. However, if you are on Windows, there's something very easy we can do. Let me explain. So there's a couple of different commands that we can run. Now, this is Solana Labs document, and it tells us to open a command prompt as administrator and go through a couple steps, including running this command. Now, if you've never done stuff like this, when you go to run curl, wget, git, you might bump into an issue where those dependencies aren't installed, and it's going to advise you to please install XYZ. The commands will be provided to you. It's pretty much right there. If not, there's always -- help that you can always run after the command in order to get more information and identify what exactly you need to do. But you don't have to do all this. Even though this command is provided to us by Solana Labs, what I personally like to do, especially if I'm going to be rocking it on Windows, is I use WSL -- install, which is a Windows subsystem on Linux, or Windows subsystem Linux, right? If we run this command, if I open up a command prompt right now and I run that command, what's going to happen is it will install whatever we need, and then we'll be able to, I would need to restart the system. And then after that, I'll be able to run this subsystem. Let me show you real quick. So if I actually just take it away, because I already have it installed, and I WSL, it's going to open up in Linux, right? So now I can run my Linux commands and do whatever I need to do. So you can follow along with this guide right here in this window. There's a few things, dependencies and stuff that we're going to need, but we're going to go through all that in today's video. So just preparing you, you can do this on Windows as a Linux kind of environment, or you can just install VirtualBox or whatever VM software you already have or that you like. VirtualBox is free. You will need some ISOs, especially like if you want Windows 11 ISO, Windows 10 ISO, whatever, so on and so forth, because you don't want to do this on your daily system. I completely understand. Then launch a virtual environment and join us, and let's get started, and so on and so forth. Now, I already have Ubuntu loaded up, and I actually, in order to easily copy and paste from these forms, what I'm doing is I'm installing the guest editions disk. Like, I already have it set up in my settings to allow bi-directional copy and paste, but you got to install the VirtualBox guest editions installation in order for everything to work. So that way I can easily copy and paste. Once that's all installed, all we got to do is right-click, open in terminal, get a new window going, and now we can go ahead and move forward with the installation and everything we need, which the first thing we want to do is update our system. Well, we want to run a couple commands: sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade. And you can put both in one thing. So sudo apt upgrade is the first one, or excuse me, update is the first one. And then the ampersand symbol or and symbol twice, sudo apt upgrade. And we need to let this rock and roll because I did have issues. You can see this exclamation point or something up here in the top right, where the updates failed after I told the system to go ahead and do it. So this is a perfect time to utilize this. We just want to make sure our system is up to date and let that rock and roll. It is going to take some time to do so, but once that's done, we can move on to the next step. Now it says, do you want to continue? Yes. Why? And again, be patient. Depending on your system, your VM, your environment might be slow, it might be fast, just depends on your hardware and a number of other variables. After this, we need to make sure that we have OpenSSH installed, and we'll go over those steps as soon as this is done. All right, that is finally done. Now, I wanted to install the guest edition CD, but it's giving me a hard time, so I'm wondering if that update just wasn't working. So let's try to run the software now. because it failed twice on me, because it would be a lot easier to just copy and paste some of the commands in the form or on my document into this environment. So whatever you need to do to get it working is what I would recommend. All right, and now we got to restart our system. As you can see, this pop-up right here. So we're going to go ahead and close everything out and just restart the system, or reload your environment. And now that we're back online with our guest editions installed, because now all I got to do is right click, paste. Boom. So our next command that we need to run is sudo apt install OpenSSH-server. You want to make sure this is installed. Anytime you're installing software, it's going to ask you for your password. Just go ahead, make sure you don't forget whatever you set for your virtual environment and enter that in. And again, be patient as we continue to install a bunch of software and dependencies. It's not going to take too long, but just be patient. Now we would just want to make sure that everything is working. So OpenSSH is good to go, just enabling it with the sudo systemctl enable -- now space SSH, enter, synchronizing state. Everything is good to go. That is done. Now we just want to check on the status of SSH. Now, if you ever want to disable it, I have the command in the document as well in blue, but we're just making sure that everything is good to go and that the SSH server is up and running. Now, after this, we need to go ahead and install curl. So I'm just going to close out of that window, open a new one, sudo apt install curl. Again, asking for your password. Installing dependencies, yes to continue, or Y. Then we want to install Solana itself, right? Or the Solana CLI, which again, there's various versions and releases. So you might want to change the number depending on when you're watching this video. That command looks something like this. So sh space -c as in Charlie, space, and in quotes, $, basically curl dash small s, capital S as in Sam, small f as in Frank, capital L as in Lima, space http / :/release.solana.com version, and then the version number you can see here. If I expand this window, version number is 1.18.12. Just change that number to whatever the latest release is, and that's going to go ahead and install as well. Let that ride out. And now that that's done, we just want to exit this terminal. So we could just type exit or hit the X in the top right, whichever works, and open up a new terminal. And we just want to make sure that our Solana config is there. How do we do that? Well, we just got to type in Solana config get. So let's do that right now. So Solana, I don't think it matters if it's capital or not, but I usually capitalize the S. Oh, so command not found. We need to change our environment, right? And make sure that the environment path is good to go. And if you're stuck or you got an error and Solana config get doesn't do anything for you, it's because that path hasn't been set. Well, you don't know what the path was. You closed out the window. Just run the command we did before, which was to install the Solana release. And you will see as it goes through its process, it's actually going to give us the actual path that we could just copy and paste. You'll see here, right here. All right, path equals home, your username, local. That's in my document as well. I also have an additional command in there if you do get an error on how to fix it. But you just basically copy the path it gives you, hit enter. And now if we do Solana config get, you'll see that it will pick it up and we can move on to the next part. We are on the main net right now, and that will cost you real Solana. So this video, we're going to do everything in the dev net, but it just has everything configured, and that's exactly what we want. Our key pair is our wallet address and information, right? It won't be displayed as a 12 or 24 word seed phrase. It will be a private key. So do not lose that and do not make that file corrupt, but that is where your key file or your key pair is. Now the next command we need to run is Solana keygen new, right? We're going to set up our key, our private key or our wallet right now. So we're going to go ahead and put that in, paste, Solana-keygen new. Enter, right? For security reasons, enter a BIP39 passphrase. So this is a password. If you leave it empty, there'll be no password to protect your wallet. Just know that. So you usually want to put in a password. You won't be able to see what you're typing on the screen, but just make note of it. Maybe copy it in a notepad, paste it, whatever you do. And also, real quick notation, if you copy anything in my document and you go to paste it, just know if it's on 2 separate lines, you're going to have issues. It's going to run the first line only. So just copy whatever the command is, make sure it looks good in notepad. It's all on 1 line, and then you should be good to go. Let's go ahead and close that out. But right here, moving on with the wallet setup, we're just going to leave it empty for now, which I don't recommend doing. And then here is our wallet and our key pair seed phrase. So this is the seed phrase, but if you go to try to export this, I will tell you that the seed phrase won't work. You need the private key. And there's a couple different ways to find out how to get that information. But just back this up for now. What I would like to do, or what I would recommend doing, is just backing this up in a new notepad, right? So that way you have everything nice and safe. Now, the next command we want to run is balance, because we just want to see, do we have anything in here? We probably don't, and we sure enough don't. But let's go ahead and grab some. I believe it's Solana airdrop, and we don't need much. 1, but we're not on the DevNet right now. See, if I were to run this command, requesting 1 airdrop request failed. This can't be this happened because the rate limit is reached. Right? We could also request an airdrop, I think, of so much, but because we're on the mainnet, it's not going to work. Now, how do we change off the mainnet? There's a couple of different ways, but I'm going to show you how to do it. It's a URL command. The command is Solana config set --URL. And if I do, I think it's mainnet, don't quote me on this, dash beta. Yeah, all right, so that works. So now if we do Solana, and check this out, Solana config set --URL --help, it will tell us what the commands are for the Solana CLI. It makes life really easy. But what we really want to do is change to DevNet, which is right here. So if we run that same command with DevNet, we should switch over to the DevNet. And sure enough, we are there. And so now, if I run Solana airdrop 1, I'm requesting 1 Solana on the DevNet, and we should show up in our wallet. Because you remember, if we scroll up here, our Solana balance was 0. But that's on the mainnet. So if you do want to do this all on the mainnet, you will need to add some Solana, which is why you got that address, right? That public address. And you can see we now have 1 Solana. Let's confirm that right now with Solana balance. Sure enough, there we are. And then that wallet address that you received earlier, you could, for example, if you wanted to stay on mainnet and do everything on mainnet to make your token official and go through the actual process just like I did, there's your public key to send mainnet tokens. But we can also use this for DevNet tokens, right? Just back it up and don't lose the wallet. If you did want to export this wallet, because I took the seed phrase, the 12 or the seed phrase, the words right here, right, for this key pair. I put it in my Phantom wallet and no funds were in there. Even on DevNet, mainnet, did not matter. What I actually had to do was export the private keys into my Phantom wallet, and I'll show you how to do that right now. So if you open up your file explorer, right, or your files folder right here, all you're going to see is your desktop, documents, downloads, basic stuff. But if you click in the center of it, this blank area, and you hit Control H, you're going to see all your hidden folders and files, right? And our Solana should be exactly where it told us earlier, where we saw our path. So config Solana and an id.json, right? And so if we open this in text editor, that is your private key. That can be copied and pasted into your Phantom wallet. So be careful who you show that to. Be careful where you store that, just like your seed phrase. Protect it, okay? But this is your wallet right here that you need to be aware of and not let it go. So now we confirmed we got some Solana, we confirmed we got a balance, and we generated our wallet. Let's move on to the next step, which is to install Rust. So we're going to run our curl command and see if it gives us a hard time. Nope. So I like to choose 1, customize installation number 2, and cancel installation number 3. We're just going to go with 1, enter, and let it rock and roll, answering any questions that might pop up. And now that that is done installing, we can move on to the next step. Just to recap real quick, curl https://sh.rustup.rs space dash small s as in Sam, big S as in Sam, small f as in Frank, space pipe sh to install Rust. Now the next command we want to run is this guy right here. Sudo apt install libudev, right? libu as an umbrella, dev. And again, might need our password, might need to just hit yes or Y on a couple things, but let that rock and roll and install. And now we need to move on to the next part, which is sudo apt install libssl-dev package config. And that will look like this. Sudo apt install libssl-dev space pkg for package dash config and then dash y for yes. Let that rock and roll. And then we need to go to build essential after that. And you notice with Ubuntu or Linux, if you're not familiar with the environment, everything is sudo apt. Sudo is your root user, just like opening your command prompt as administrator. So sudo apt install build dash essential space dash y for yes. We're moving right through these dependency guys. Good job. And then we're going to be moving on to cargo after this. Let that rock and roll, move forward to install. And now cargo. Sudo apt install cargo dash y. A lot of installing and dependencies and stuff like that, but we're almost there. Now we're moving on to the SPL Token CLI. So we got the Solana CLI, we got Rust, we got cargo, and now we're gonna get SPL Token CLI here in just a second. There it is. Cargo install SPL-token -CLI. Enter. It's creating indexes, downloading crates, so on and so forth. And the next step on my document, we don't really need to do because I already changed to the DevNet, and I would recommend practicing on the DevNet before you do everything on the mainnet, right? But we're already on the DevNet. We already have some Solana in this wallet. We can go ahead and move forward. But the next command on the document is just wanting you to confirm the network you are on. And it's always good to make sure that you're in the right thing with the Solana config get command. But let this install. Now that only took about 3 minutes on my system with a 7950X, but it might take a little bit longer on others. So it might vary. But now what do we need to do to make sure that we're on the right network, right? The right settings. Don't forget Solana config get, right? And if we want to change it, it's Solana config set -- URL. So we're just making sure we're on the right one. We're on the DevNet. We're good to go. Now let's check our balance once again. Solana balance. And the next command in my document will actually be Solana address. We want to make sure we could see our address in there. We got one Solana, so we're going to do Solana now address. And there is our address. Does that look anything like our document? It sure does, right? Our public key is that address. So that's why it's always good to have that stuff backed up. And now here comes the token creation. First command we're going to do is SPL token create. You won't name it yet. You won't be able to name it yet. That comes into the metadata and all that stuff. This is just creating a token. So SPL, right, the new CLI that we just installed at the very end via cargo, SPL-token space create token or dash token. Hit enter. And you're going to see here creating token. Now back this up, okay? That's what I recommend. Back this up because your token is right here, right? It's creating that token under the token program. This is going to be your minting address and all that good stuff, right? This is going to be the token address that you're going to see on metadata and bird eye and all that other good stuff. So back that up in that same Word document or notepad or wherever you got, right? So this is our token address. We got that nice and safe. I don't recommend always using notepad for stuff, especially for your like wallet and private keys, because you know, it's just so much easier to, once I gain access to your account or to your systems or network, I could easily access it. But anyways, that's a different video. We got our token. It's created. Congratulations. You just created your first cryptocurrency token. What's next? Well, now we got to create an account for this address, right? Because every wallet, let me make sure I explain this correctly. Every wallet has to have an account for that token. So every cryptocurrency you have in your Phantom wallet, there's your wallet address that you receive that cryptocurrency on, but then there's an account associated with that cryptocurrency. Your bonk, your demo cats, your whatever token it might be, there's an account that has to be created. And it actually costs money. Exactly 0.00203 Solana to create an account for that token on every single wallet you airdrop to. That's where the price comes in. But it's still a hell of a lot cheaper than some of the alternatives or some of the easy, convenient tools out there. So let's move on. Now we need to create the account. How do we do that? Well, we're going to use SPL-token space create account is going to be the first part of this. But then we're missing something here. We got to grab the address right up here. So we're going to copy this and we're going to paste this. Now, I will warn you, it will sometimes fail. Don't be afraid, especially on the mainnet. I've seen it fail a couple times. If the simulation fails, if the transaction fails, it doesn't charge you. It's only when it goes through that it charges you. So if it fails, just know, even testing the airdrops and the account creation, I bumped into issues where I got an error, transaction failed, I wasn't charged anything, but I had to do it again. I've seen some issues where maybe the mainnet was congested and caused these errors to happen. We shouldn't see that on the devnet, but let's go ahead and move forward. So we got SPL-token space create dash account and then the token address. So now we're going to go ahead and hit enter and give it some time to rock and roll, but also back this up again. So on transaction finalized, so I'm going to copy from here to here, creating account and signature. Oops, didn't mean to do that. And I'm going to put that again in my document or my notepad. All of this information to me is important. You might not need to back it up, but because you could always get back to it if you needed to. But I just like to back up things for future use and stuff like that. So now you just created a token and you created an account for that token. Now we got to move on to, guess what? Minting that token. All right. How do we do that? Well, we got a command here, SPL-token mint. But we got to specify a couple things. Our token address, our wallet supply, and the account we just created. All right. So here's our token address again. Copy that. Our overall supply. So do you want 1 billion tokens? Do you want 100 tokens? Do you want 1 million tokens? Do you want 1 trillion tokens? You can do whatever you want, but just note before you're taking these projects into the next level where you're actually trying to make this project seriously. If you're playing around, it doesn't matter. If you're not playing around and you're planning on doing something with this actual token, look into and do some research as to what the token supply, what's the best token supply, right? Some of these meme coins, they have trillions of tokens. Some of them only have billions of tokens, and some of them are less than 1 billion. So you really want to gauge and see, what is a good number you want to stick with, because whatever you burn in that supply, when we talk about creating liquidity in a different video or in the future, that comes into play, right? That does have an effect. So you want to do some research and see what would be an optimum token supply for you for a product that you're taking seriously. Honestly, I would go with what Crypto Mikkel said. Very intelligent individual, creator in the content space or in the crypto content space, and unfortunately underrated in my opinion. 1 billion. 1 billion is a sweet spot. You hear a number of creators out there talk about 1 billion in their Solana meme tokens or whatever token. But it depends. Are you trying to make a meme token? Are you trying to make it something useful? That's going to determine the overall supply that you should go with, especially if most of that supply is going to get dumped into the market. So this time, just for this representation, we're just going to go ahead and go with, let's say, one. Oh, is my numpad not working? Okay, yeah, there we go. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So 1 million. That's what we're going to go with. So SPL-token mint, your token address, the mint amount, and now the account, right? This is the account we just created for this guy. So we're minting these tokens into this account And now we hit enter. And again, I like to copy the output, make sure. So signature, everything was finalized. Good to go. We're just going to copy from minting 1 million tokens, token, recipient, so on and so forth. And here's the cool thing. We can see that. We can see that in our wallet. I'm going to show you that in just a second. Again, like to save everything in our document. But check this out. I don't have this in my document, but if you're watching this video, you should be able to figure it out. So SPL, first off, we want to see how much we lost of our balance. So Solana balance. So this is our DevNet balance. We had 1 Solana. It's now dropped down to 0.99647912. Okay? That was really cheap, guys. So we spent to create our own token and mint our tokens. We spent 0.00352088. What is that in the actual fiat value at time of recording is 52 cents. We spent 52 cents to make our own token. And if you look at one of my videos about the Easy Creator apps that are convenient and easy for people to access, it would have cost us anywhere from 70 bucks to 125 bucks, depending on how far we want to go. So just bear that in mind. Moving on, let's try this. SPL, and again, if you're not sure what to type, SPL-token --help. Look at that. It gives us all the commands, guys and ladies and gentlemen. All the commands. We can see what's going on. Accounts. List all token accounts by owner. That's what I want to do. I want to list all token accounts. Solana, or excuse me, SPL token accounts. Boom. It's going to show us our token and the amount we have. There it is. So here's our token address, and here's the amount we have. Now we can start working on metadata and airdropping. Now, metadata, there's a couple of different options out there. I'm going to be honest with you. Users like Metaplex. I like Metaplex. But I did this method. And I don't know how to pronounce their name, but it was really good. And we already have Solana and everything installed to a certain point. What we want to do is take over from where they left off, which is to create the metadata. And so what we want to do is right here at installing Metabos, which it is linked in my document, we want to do cargo install Metabos. Now the metadata, I'm not going to go full ham, but if we install cargo, Metabos, cargo install Metabos, it's going to be up to you to find out where you're going to keep your profile picture, how you're going to do your URI or URL. It's all in my document. I'm not going to go into those details, but the long version of it is this. We need to create the metadata just like I'm going to show you here. If we go to solscan.io or Solana FM, whichever you prefer, and you select the token, you'll see the metadata right here, right? Where we need to provide the name, the symbol, right? Which is usually the abbreviation, but on this token, it's spelled out. And then the URL, right? And so this URI right here, if I copy it and go to it, you're just going to see this. This is what your metadata should look like, right? So if you want to copy that and store that somewhere, that's fine. The biggest thing is the image can be stored on, say, for example, GitHub, right? You just want to put the token or the profile picture online somewhere. I'm using an IPFS, so it's decentralized. It's not in a centralized entity. GitHub is pretty good. Rwave, Filecoin, IPFS, whatever you want. You just need to make sure that you go ahead and upload and make sure you have that link and all that good stuff. So let's say we want to use this metadata right here for our dev token. We could just copy this right here, but there's two different ways we need to go about this. First off, we just installed Metabos. Now we need to make sure that we export our path, right? And here, be sure to add this to our path, right? So we need to copy this right here. And I believe it's export path equals. So let's see here. Export space path equals. And we're going to paste that command that I just gave us. Enter. And so there we go. So now when we execute metaboss commands, we should be able to talk to it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to. So let's see here. Metaboss -- help. Yep, sure enough. All right, so there we go. And you can see it's got some mechanisms built in and all that good stuff. But the biggest thing is we want to be able to create our metadata. So we're not going to worry about all those other commands just yet. We need to create a JSON. So the first part of metadata, there's two things here that I was trying to allude to. This one is online, but then there's also one offline, right? So the link that actually links to this metadata is the one that we're going to use offline. I'm going to show you how to create that offline. But the guide that the user gives us makes it super easy, right? This is all we need for online, one of these two right here. But for local, we need something like this, okay? So copy, we're just going to copy that. And again, the URI would need to be changed. And that URI is going to link to the metadata you just created up here. I like to use Pinata, which is a fun little IPFS tool that I personally like, but you can use GitHub. And if we go to our GitHub and create a new repository, which we can do, I like to use the desktop one, but if you click new, you create a new repository where we could call it Solana Dev Test, right? Testing for community. Public, leave everything else alone. Create repository. And so we can open up on desktop. We can open up in code space. We can do all kinds of stuff. Personally, I like to set up in desktop, right? So if I click this, you're going to see the desktop app show up. So it's set up. So we're going to clone. And now I am in that repository. All right, so now I need to create a file in here. But I can't do it. How do I do it? Well, you're going to click Show in Explorer. That folder is going to open up. And then here it is. So all we got to do is literally copy what we have here, right? And then change it for our particular token. All right, so here we go. I'm going to paste it. We're going to call it dev sol. And we're going to call it DL or DS, right? Symbol DS. Now, we don't have the image URI yet, but let's say that we want to. Well, there's a couple things we can do. Let's go back to our GitHub desktop and our file explorer. We can make our own image and drop it in here to upload to that repository. So let's find an image, any image, just to upload. I'm going to use the Zuka image. So I'm going to put that in here. And watch what happens when I click on GitHub. It automatically populates. So we're going to call this our profile description, profile pic, commit to main. Publish to branch. And then in our GitHub online, what you're going to see is that image is up there. There it is. So if we click on it, here it is. But don't just copy the URL up here. What you want to do is you want to get the raw URI or URL. To do that, we right-click the image, open a new tab, and then here's the raw GitHub user content. So that is what we're going to use right there. That is our profile pic. And I know this is probably copywritten by something, but we're just using this as a test. This is not going to be an official token. And now we can upload that or change that image URL to what we have on GitHub, okay? So let's do that now. Control C, Control V, right? And now description, let's see here. This token is for content for education. All right. Now, creator, you don't have to put creator in what I have here. You can do whatever you want. You see here it says token name, symbol, description, image, extensions like your website, your Twitter, your Telegram, all that stuff. I have something similar to that where I have the Twitter, Telegram, stuff like that, but I put creator and then a name and so on and so forth. So you can change all this to whatever you want. In this case, we're just going to erase all this stuff, right? With the last one doesn't have a comma. Just FYI. You see how this last one doesn't have a comma? So if I get rid of this and I leave that comma on, that's going to mess up stuff. So we need to take out the comma and the site. And we're just going to leave it like that, right? Creator, name, Serpent X. Okay? Actually, instead, I'm going to add the YouTube URL for the channel. So there we are. We got it. My name is Vega in this channel. All right. So there we go. We got, look at that face. Look at that face. We got it. Paste that in there. And so now this is good to go. Now check this out. If I save this, file, save as, dev test, we need to save it as a JSON file. So devtest.json. And let's go ahead and put it in the GitHub for SolDevTest. Right? Save. If we go back to the GitHub desktop, it picks it up automatically. Right? So it's got our name, our symbol. It's got the URL for our profile image, description, creator, so on and so forth. Does have an exclamation. What is that? Why is it doing that? It looks good. I don't know why it's doing that. But let's go ahead and JSON. Let's say metadata for description. Metadata for DevNet. Commit to main. Push to origin. And again, if we go back to our GitHub, we will see, there it is. There's the JSON. Right? So now that it's online, we can click on this, and again, we need the raw URL, right? Copy raw file. So it's copied. We need to hang on to that because that is our URI. Oh, excuse me. We need that did not work the way I wanted it to. Copy raw, download raw. I need to get the raw link to this. There it is. All right. So raw.github user content, This is what we need right here. So copy that, hang on to that, because now on our local machine, we need to create the local metadata, right? The one that we're going to use to call to the online one. That's exactly what's going to happen. Okay. Let me see if I can explain this. These two are what the rest of the public are going to see. This bottom one is what we're creating locally on the desktop that we're using to mint these tokens to tell MetaBoss, hey, here is the URI. So let's go ahead and copy this. Let's open up a new notepad, paste that there. And we want to replicate what we did before. But the URI, we need to replace that with our link to our metadata. Okay. And then we need to put our token name and symbol. What did I make it? Let's see here. I forgot already. So dev sol is the name, and then ds is the symbol. All right, perfect. Now, we're going to need this, but we got to do it on the system we're on. So let's go ahead and do that. How do we do that? Well, you can open up a Nano. You can create a new metadata locally, whatever you want. But we need to do it on the system in which we're creating this token on. So let's go ahead and do that now. And we want to put it wherever we are. So for example, if I'm on this desktop, you see how it says desktop right now? I want to put that JSON right here is where I want to put it. But let's go ahead and open up Nano. N-A-N-O. Oh, looks like I don't have it installed. All right, so instead we'll do it the plain way. We're going to go to text editor. Open that bad boy up. Copy what we wrote over here. Paste. We want to save as. I'm going to put it on our desktop because that's where we are right now. Call it metadata.json. Might need to change to modify the file type or name, but let's see here. There it is, metadata.json. There it is. If we right click open, we'll see, just make sure everything is right. There it is. All right, close that out. And so now we can use MetaBoss to go ahead and publish our metadata, right? Obviously, like always, we want to make sure that we're on the right config, right? If you're on mainnet and you're supposed to be doing this on, you know, DevNet or whatever, Solana config. Oh, it looks like we lost a path for Solana again. But we still got MetaBoss, and that's all that matters. Okay, cool. Because we're going to need our token address. All right, so now that that JSON saved, we can now create our metadata. Now, our metadata is on the desktop, which is where we are right now. If you don't know where we are, we can always use the command, I think it's pwd, I guess is, I think it's the, if I remember right, pwd. Yeah, it tells us our environment, home, soul test, the username, desktop. So that is where the metadata is, and that's where we want to run this command. So we're going to do metaboss create, oh, forgot the E, metadata -a, and then we need our token address. Remember our token address? This guy right here. We need that. Copy. Paste. And then after our token address, it's -m, space -m, and then the name of our JSON file, which we have is metadata.json. Okay? Let that rock and roll, and it should be adding metadata for this token, which we just did. Copy that transaction. Like, as always, I like to back up everything. And so now we just successfully added our metadata stuff. So here's the metadata URI, not URL, URI address. I like to keep that in my documents. And then here is the confirmation of the metadata that was created. So I'd say metadata completion. Now we're getting to the tail end here. Thank you for bearing with me, and I hope you get some useful information out of this. If you're not, let me know. Hit me up in the comments. But now we should be good to go. But I did notice that when we did MetaBoss, we kind of messed up my Solana path as well. But now your metadata is done. Everything else is going to be all Solana, SPL Token, so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and close out this window. And if you ever want to know what your metadata is, like if you want to see if it's on there, it might take a minute to show up. But if we grab this token address and find a DevNet Explorer for Solana, we should technically be able to see it. So I'm at an Explorer right now, and I am on the DevNet. If I move out of your way, you see in the upper right, DevNet. And if we search the token, maybe it will come up with the metadata. Let's find out. Again, we just did it, so it might not be right away. Boom. There's our image. Dev Sol. Metadata. Boom. Booyah, baby. Good job. You guys just created a token, and you got your metadata updated. And it picked up the image right away. Nice job, guys. All right, so now that that's done, what's the next steps? Well, this is where it gets things a little bit tricky and probably the more expensive part. But before you could create your market, which is what you might want to do if you want to create a token market where people can buy and sell your token, we need to give the community a little bit of trust, right? We need to show them they can trust us. Well, what do you do to do that? Well, there's a couple of different ways that we can do that. Let me just close out everything here, right? Metadata is done, and we're going to lock it in. So we're going to use the MetaBoss set immutable, and then we need to make sure that our key pair is set. Let me show you what I mean by that. So 3 things to make the community trust us. Revoke freeze authority, which guess what? Because the way we built the token, if you follow my guide, the freeze authority has already been revoked because we never set freeze authority. You had to do that at the very beginning. Then we're going to revoke the mint authority, so we can't mint new token. And you do, well, it's kind of a gray area. You don't have to revoke your mint authority if you're going to be transparent with the community and do token burns. Like if you mint new tokens just to burn them, you know, you want to be transparent and communicate with that. Bonk and a number of others, I believe, don't have their mint authority revoked, but they're offsetting it with burning of tokens or assets. So it's a catch-22. That's a more complicated topic. But to get people to trust us, we're going to revoke freeze authority, revoke mint authority, and then also make our metadata immutable, which means we can't change the website, we can't change the metadata. It's locked in on the blockchain, good to go. Nobody can mess with it. The owner can't mess with it or alter it. That's what we're going to do to prove to the community that you can trust us and this token. So first off, we got to work up with MetaBoss again. This time we're going to do the immutable command, which is MetaBoss set immutable -- key pair, which should be the path of your JSON, or that, remember that ID that I showed you earlier? This guy right here. Let me go to it. Config, Solana, this guy right here. That's our key pair. So we're going to set that path, and then the account token address, right? The token address. Let me show you exactly what that looks like. All right, so it's going to be in a document, but it should look like this. MetaBoss space set space immutable space -- key pair. Now remember, this is the same area where you keep your JSON, which if we go to that JSON file and click on properties, it tells you the path right here. The only thing you're missing at the end is the extra slash, right? So /home, your username, config or .config, Solana, another slash, and then id.json, which is our key pair. That's the default, unless you changed it. Just change it to whatever you have. Space -- account. And this is your token address, okay? Then when you hit enter, it should complete. And now we just made our token immutable, which means we cannot alter the metadata. We can't change the website. We can't change anything related to the metadata, adding that extra layer of, hey, you can trust us. Now it's time to make or revoke the freeze authority, right? So we're going to need our token address for all of this, but it's SPL token authorize. So SPL -token, that's how it's going to start for both of these. Authorize, and then token address. So we want to make sure we copy that. And then we want to say freeze. And you're going to see we're going to get an error here because, again, we did not initiate the capability to freeze accounts at the very beginning of the token creation. You could have done that. Maybe we'll talk about that in a future video. But if you did it the way we showed you in this video and documentation, that's already done. That's already off. So this is exactly what you want if you want to create a legitimate token that's going to go to market. So SPL -token, authorize, your token address, freeze, -- disable. Enter, and you're going to see here we might get an error. And this does cost some Solana. We'll check our balance here in a minute. And you can see we did get an error because current freeze is disabled. New freeze is disabled. Error, client error, right? Our freezing capability was never there. So that's good because that gives people a little bit more trust. Now, what we want to do is we kind of replicate the same steps. SPL -token, authorize, and instead of the word freeze, we're going to do mint, right? So we can't mint any new tokens right now. So SPL token, authorize, token address, mint, and then -- disable. Before I even do this, what we could do is we could actually mint more of our tokens, right? And we'll do it the exact same way we did before. The SPL token mint. Let's do that right now. Let's show you that we can mint more token. First, we're going to do SPL -token accounts to show that we still have our 1 million. And let's give it some more. SPL token -token mint. And then we need our address. So our token address, but we also need our account. So there's our address. Go back to our document to get our account, which is right here. And let's say that we're going to go ahead and mint another, let's do 500,000. So now we should be at 1.5 million. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right. And then our account, showing you that we can mint more tokens. So we're about to go from 1 million to 1.5 million. There is our transaction, our signature. So now if we do SPL -token accounts, we should see, oh, I mistyped it with the S at the end. We should see 1.5 million tokens. So we're wanting to revoke that now, right? To add that extra layer of, hey guys, you could trust me because I can't alter the supply, I can't freeze your account, and the metadata is immutable. So SPL token authorize the token address, mint, and I believe it's free, disabled. I believe it's disabled. Let me make sure here. Yep, -- disabled. Not with disabled past tense, but just disabled. Enter. And now we've revoked our mint authority. We're revoking our mint authority. We made the data immutable. This token on the rug checker looks pretty good, but as far as liquidity and stuff like that, we haven't even gone to that area. But right now, we're near the tail end, and all we need to do is airdrop. I was having issues with Metaplex, but there's a lot of good programs and tools. And where is it at? Candy Machine. Yep, Candy Machine. And I think Gundrop is one of the ways that we can airdrop. But basically what would happen is we would create this Candy Machine. I think it's more for NFTs, but people could go and claim their airdrop. Not that we're sending it to them. We're not airdropping it to them. Now, if you didn't want to do all this and you're willing to spend more money, there are some pretty good tools out there that allow you to airdrop to multiple people for a little bit extra. But here's the Gundrop GitHub I was talking about. The Metaplex stocks, so on and so forth. Pretty cool stuff. I'm not going to show you that. Instead, we're going to use the GitHub to, go ahead and grab addresses and just airdrop it to our colleague. Oh, this is the one, SPL Token bulk distributor. So we're going to go ahead and copy this URL to get this code. I'm just going to do it in Firefox too, and just paste that link in there to go ahead and grab the file, because I worked in it through the desktop environment. All right, there we go. Now we're just going to download zip, click on it, because we're going to want to extract our files or get into it. There it is. There's everything we need. Where's the location? Let's see here. Should be in our downloads. Yep, sure enough, it's in our downloads. Open Archive Manager, extract, close, and there it is. So we're going to open up that guy, and there is our Python script. The cool thing about this, super easy to use. First off, airdrop.txt, what is that? That's where you're going to put all the addresses, right? So if you're able to accumulate addresses from people that you want to airdrop this thing to, or maybe you go and you find out, and there's some pretty cool tools about how to find airdrops or addresses associated with a particular project. Let me see if I can find you that information. So Foxy Share is pretty cool. You select the token, right, that you want to send. You could set, have the same amount sent to all wallets, let's say 200 of a token, and then you just put the addresses on separate lines. If you want to send to different amounts to different wallets, you could do that. You could have a CSV file that is separated by wallet address, comma, and then the amount to send to them. And you could just import that CSV file or just paste the wallet addresses and the amount in CSV format. So Foxy Share makes it really easy. Another cool thing that they have, I think, is we can identify people who have a particular token. Let's see if we can find that. Foxy makes it pretty cool. You can search the mints, the NFTs, collections, token. But if we go, grab a Solana address of a particular token, we can search and load all the holders. So there's 130 of holders this token, 125, 5 escrow. We could export via CSV, JSON text. The bigger the token, like cat with hat, dog with hat, bonk, the longer it's going to take. So just be patient. But that's how you identify all the people. Just know that if you're going to send to that many people, it's going to cost you quite a bit. Matter of fact, if we do the math on that, overall, that's what we spent so far. We got to update the latest math. But if we did want to send 130 people, the average transaction cost is 0.00204. So if you use the Python method that I'm showing you, to send to 130 people is going to cost you 0.26 Solana. So just keep that in mind, and let's see what that costs in fiat. $40. Not too bad, but just bear that in mind in your calculations. So to airdrop, again, with the Python script that I'm showing you in the document, you just put all your addresses in here, whatever they are, then you save it, and then you go to your Python airdrop editor. And if you open in text editor, I do have a different command that I added to mitigate the amount of issues I was dealing with, because it times out or it errors out even though we have enough funds. I add import time to the top, and then I delay each transaction by anywhere from 60 seconds to 180 seconds. And I just add that simply after or right above the list file. So right here, I add time.sleep and then quotes, or not quotes, but brackets. Well, I don't know why I'm messing it up. 80 seconds or whatever. And that's how I delay the send in between. But here we need to fill out a couple of things. SPL token, the command transfer, which means we're sending, allow unfunded recipient. People don't have your token yet, and if you want to airdrop it to them, you're going to pay for that, okay? Allow unfunded recipients. That means they have no Solana in their wallet, and that we're going to fund the recipient. We're going to pay for the transaction, and then we just put in our token address, right? So our token address of the one we just created, not our account, but our token address, and then the amount we want to send. So if we have 1.5 million and we want to airdrop a certain percentage of that token supply, let's say that we're going to airdrop everybody 1,000 tokens. And then we save that. And then if we actually, matter of fact, we could probably do it. I don't even know who these people are, but we're going to send it. So 80 seconds, let's drop that down to, 10 seconds, because on DevNet, it runs really, really fast. It's only on mainnet that it runs pretty slow. So there are two addresses in here that I have no idea who the hell they are, but we're gonna try it. And now that that's saved, we can run our Python script. But our Python script is not in here. So we need to go to that directory, which is in our downloads. I like to open up a terminal in that window. And then we're going to do open a new terminal. And now we need to run our command. Python 3 airdrop.py. Enter, and now it's going to airdrop 1,000 of those tokens that we made on the DevNet, which is where we're currently on, to those two users. And look at that, transfer 1,000 tokens to that wallet address right here, funding recipient, so on and so forth. So now these two people have received 1,000 of our token that we created in this video. So there's a lot of different nuances and additional information in my document. We're going to go ahead and wrap up here because it's already been long enough. But I hope you got some useful information out of this video. It just takes a little bit more time for you to learn a little bit more about the different commands, Solana commands, SPL token commands, Rust commands, cargo commands, so on and so forth. But it saves you money. And if that doesn't get you hyped up on saving money rather than spending $70, $60, $50, $120, $125, I'm just trying to help you save money so that way you could spend most of your money, because you're going to need it, for launching your market on Radium or the Open Market ID, which there's a number of different options out there, as well as adding to your liquidity pool, burning 70%, 80%, 90% of your supply with against so much Solana. So I'd rather you save your money on that part than spend it, 0.18 Solana on just creating your token and meeting all the criteria like metadata, revoke the mint, revoke the freeze authority, and making it immutable. But anyways, on the way out, hit that like button, make sure to get subscribed, hit notification bell to stay up to date, as well as check out additional links in the description. That'll support the channel and what we do here. I'll have some links additionally to the articles where they have some of the commands, as well as my doc. But if you could, and you're interested in creating a Solana token, you need some assistance and can throw me a bone or a little something for helping you out, I would greatly appreciate you hitting me up in the DMs, contact, email, whatever it might be. You know how to find me, Twitter, Discord, whatever it might be. And just have yourself a wonderful day. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.